Right, so everybody that's listening, thanks so much. If you're listening to us on one of the radio stations, again, we appreciate you listening. If you're listening to us on one of the podcasting sites, YouTube, Stitcher, Amazon, and the list goes on and on. I'm not going to go down the list. We appreciate that. And please subscribe and share this interview so we can get this out to as many people as possible. Thankfully, political season is somewhat over. I feel like it never ends, but we are moving on to different topics. Uh, and with that said, we have a person on here that has an amazing story. He is a veteran, and we thank you for your service. This is David Romero. He's going to be talking about his service dog, Jasmine, and also about his service and also the Paws Act that was passed in 2021. David, again, thanks for your service, and thanks so much for coming on the program today to tell your story.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me.
So, tell the audience a little bit about yourself in general as we start the interview, David.
Okay, I was in the Air Force for 6 years, and I got out with just a lot of injuries. But the VA has taken good care of me medically, and they'll continue to take care of me for the rest of my life. I'm a 90% disabled veteran, and I have had a service dog now. Her name is Jasmine. I've had her for 8.5 years. So I got her when she was 1 year old, and then there was 7 more months of training after that for the scent training. So she's a scent trained dog, and she was trained to detect a pheromone that I put off when my body's in distress. And we were able to trigger that pheromone by since I'm hypoglycemic, just by giving me an extreme amount of sugar in the morning, and then what it does is it causes my sugar to spike and then crash. And then that impermeated an undershirt that I wore during the 3 times we did that. And then those squares, the t-shirt was cut into little squares and frozen and impermeated and used to train the dog. And so I've gone back through the same school to order the second dog. Um, they told me up front that service dogs last about 10 years. And, you know, I'd love to say my Golden Retriever would last 18 years, but she has been through a lot, a lot of lack of sleep and a lot of things just being with me all the time. So she has saved my life 6 times. What happens to me when I get into a situation, my PTSD causes me to start clotting. The clotting is just a simple genetic factor that I have. I clot easier than a lot of people. But when you mix it with PTSD, it sends me into mini strokes. And so after a pretty strong mini stroke once where I was paralyzed in my face, I couldn't talk, I couldn't communicate, it scared me. And that's when I reached out to, at the time, it was Angel Service Dogs in Colorado. And I purchased her, and she has just been with me at my side ever since. I mean, from the times that, going to work, she's with me every day, going to every appointment that I have. She's my right hand dog, and has just been a rock for me.
I just want to backtrack, and I appreciate you telling your story. I've actually heard of Angel Service Dogs, and it's a good organization. I found about them on Facebook. Not that the audience needs to know that or probably cares, but regardless of that, it is a good organization. As we, just to move back into the interview, can you just talk a little bit about in the Air Force and, what you did as far as that? What happened there? If you'd be willing to tell your story, that would be great.
Yeah, I know. I was in the Air Force, and I was a weather analyst, and so we were a very specific type of team under Air Force Special Operations Command, and we were like weather for hire. So in wartime, if you needed us for sending out specific weather, well, essentially, I mean, this has been declassified for many years, but we were telling planes at the time how to fly in holes in radar so that they could reach their target undetected. And we would do that with special weather reads. And I also worked for NASA while I was in the Air Force. I was stationed to work for NASA for 3 years. And we did weather support for the space shuttle program. So I'd spend most of my time in Europe and Africa. And but one day, it's not a combat related incident, but I had just left the base going home from work. In my uniform, they even had that shiny orange vest on that they made us wear. And a drunk driver just came right at me, hit me head on my motorcycle. Oh, wow. And it was there was a lot of breaks. Five injuries to my back and neck, breaks, both of my knees, my right hand in 9 places. So it was a pretty bad accident.
Was this in the
But
U.S.? Sorry to interrupt, David. Was this
yes, it
in?
was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
in
Go ahead.
Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay. Panhandle. Okay.
Um, that that was a life changing event for me. It changed my career path. It ended my career with the Air Force, but it put me in a disabled status so that the VA could take care of me. And I I've never been able to get back on the road too easily. I don't do most of the driving in our family. It's usually I prefer to be a passenger because when
Sure.
people get aggressive, I automatically go towards the 0 to 1,000 that says they're trying to kill me. It's just a bad part of PTSD, but I've been working on it. Then years later, my partner of 3 years, he was murdered because
Oh,
he was gay. He was in Denver, Colorado. It was another hate crime, and so I dealt with that trauma and carried that with me. And then recently, I was in Mexico and I was mugged, beat up, thrown over a bridge, fell down a mountain, 100 feet down. So it's things like this happen in life, and your mind doesn't want to forget them. And so the VA has just done an amazing job of working on my PTSD and helping me figure out better ways to handle it. But there's that physical reaction that I can't help, and that's why Jasmine has just been a saving grace for me.
was Jasmine with you during the Mexico incident?
No, I tried to take her. Mexico is not very sympathetic with service dogs right now. They had a
Oh,
rule that said only service dogs up to 30 pounds. And I called the resort and I said, well, I think you have that backwards because real service dogs that come from service dog schools are never 30 pounds.
right.
But so I didn't take her.
Okay. Wow. Man, you've been through the ringer. God bless you. Wow, that's crazy. And then the murder of your partner. I mean, cheapest crow. Unbelievable. Wow. Anyways, I didn't want to take that turn, but I appreciate you telling the viewers about your story and what's going on in your life and how it's led to this moment. Jasmine's really saved your life. She's been an important part of your life in general and keeping you alive and really helping you in general with day-to-day activities and just keeping you straight. My thing is, David, a lot of people don't really know, and we get this, you're in the same part of Florida as where I'm from. And, going to Disney, personally, as a Disney fan, and living in that Disney bubble that as being in that part of Orlando, a lot of people that go to Disney, they bring these little dogs, they even bring big dogs, and they don't understand that it's not a service dog if it barks or it, jumps and does all these crazy things. A service dog is not supposed to act like that. Can you tell the viewers a little bit in general of what a service dog is? Because a lot of people have there's the service dog, the therapy dog, and every other dog in the book, and people get confused.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to find out if a dog is a service dog is to ask about its training. Jasmine went through a full solid year of training where she was at the school. It was not something where it was a self-training. She was literally at that school. And when I got her, she came with a handbook with all of her commands and all the sign language that goes with it. We can be in a noisy airport, and all I have to do is use the commands to tell her to sit, stay. I'll undress her, take off her vest, put it through the radar. I'll go to the other side. She'll keep her eye on me, just locked in, and then I'll summon her forward, and she goes through. Each one of these little tasks requires a tremendous amount of training, and then the scent training even more. So when people say that they've got a service dog, dogs are just amazing creatures, one of the best creatures in the world, and they help everybody. So I don't want it to belittle how a dog's helping somebody, but some of us pay $20,000, $30,000 for dogs,
Right.
and there's a reason that we get the ability to take them with us everywhere because it's a guarantee they're not going to pee or poop in the wrong place. They're not going to bark. They're not going to be aggressive. My dog will walk right by another dog. It doesn't matter if they're barking anyway. She'll just stay right at my side and keep on walking. Funny story. There was a time when I took her to the dog park and she was playing with another dog and I heard her bark. I mean, I was shocked because she's barked literally maybe 5 times in her life. And I wanted to encourage it. I wanted to hear it again, but that's the way she's trained.
Right. It's really incredible, these dogs. And we do know that if the dog is barking, or if you said it's peeing or pooping, that's the signals that it's not a real service dog. And we hope people that are listening, we hope that they kind of see that and they do speak up against it. I know people are afraid to speak up against anything anymore. It's pretty sad. I see that in public places with, whether it's Disney or even a shopping place, a lot of people are afraid because of the discrimination claims and all that stuff. So it's sad. So, before we go into the Paws Act, I do want to talk about Jasmine. So, you said that she has cancer. Can you just go, talk a little bit about that and what her status is as far as that goes, if you can go into that?
Yeah. Something really common in service dogs is, let me see if I can pronounce it. I think it's osteo. I can't pronounce it. But anyway, it's bone cancer. And usually in a service dog school, like I just submitted another deposit to the current school so that they could run a genetic test on the dog to see if they're predisposed to any of these things. So that's part of the testing. And you know what? The dog is still a living, breathing being, and anything can happen. And she came down with cancer, and 7 months ago, she was given 2 months to live. So she's an absolute fighter, absolute fighter. What I've done is I give her. Years back, I got off the opioids that the VA was feeding me, and I went to cannabis. And it made all the difference in my life. It took away the anxiety and all the problems of those, and it just changed me. And so I've been helping her. CBD oil, things. It really, really helps. And I went to my doctor, and he said, "Yeah, I can't say for sure what it is, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, just keep it up."
Wow. So this is the vet is telling you that first they told you 2 months, and now it's been how many years?
7 months.
Oh, it's been 7 months. I'm
Since she
sorry.
was diagnosed. Yeah.
Wow.
And so she's, the biggest thing I can do right now is give her quality of life. Amputation's not a consideration because of her age. It's possible that she wouldn't stand up again. My brother had a golden retriever with the same cancer, and once they cut the front leg off, the dog laid down and was 4 years old and just decided never to continue life. So I didn't want to put her through that.
No.
But I don't want her to suffer either. So at some point I have to make that very important decision, when to take her in, and I'm not looking forward to that. But
now, is this your first dog, David, or no?
No, I've had 3 other dogs, and let me tell you, the feeling that you have when you have to put a dog down is just, it's an immense sadness. But I've always gone right back out and got another dog because it helps. It just helps so much. The love that they provide you is just unparalleled. We can't measure that. So this is my first service dog, though, and this is the first dog that's been with me everywhere. And what I do now is I help her get out of the car. I actually retired her and kept her at home, and she got depressed, and she literally just started following me the door a couple of times and wanted to go to work with me. And now she comes back to work with me.
Let's just talk about the Paws Act. Because it did pass in 2021. A lot of people that may know a lot about service dogs may have heard about it. We do have those people that do listen in, but there's also a lot of people that don't, as we've spoken about, don't know much about service dogs. Can you talk about the Paws Act?
Yeah, the Paws Act was passed by Congress in 2021, which gives the VA permission to purchase service dogs for veterans with PTSD. Unfortunately, it's in a 5-year trial period, and they handpicked a few people. I don't know how many, but they handpicked people, and I wasn't one of them. So there's a lot of veterans for the next several years that are going to be buying their own dogs, and we're putting together these GoFundMe pages. But I just wonder how you pass a law and get people's hopes up. You
Yeah.
know, you pass this wonderful law and you talk about the benefits of it, but you don't say, but we're not going to do it for 5 years. And then once it starts in 5 years, you've got to get on that 2 year waiting list. So there's a lot of time between, now and I would be able to get a service dog from them.
Yeah. Well, don't get me started about the government, but
I know.
we'll keep that to ourselves for now. Anyways, rounding out the interview. So, obviously you have trained, and, I shouldn't say obviously because people listening don't know. And again, for people listening, this is Dave Romero. He is a veteran, and we are talking about his service dog, Jasmine, who is retired and is, fighting through cancer, and she's fighting like hell. So we commend her for that. But you also are training with a new dog that you just spoke about earlier that you put down in a pod deposit, and I believe her name is Merida. Is that correct?
Yes. When I called the service dog school to get Jasmine, she said, "You want a golden doodle or a golden retriever?" I said, "Well, golden retriever because I don't have allergies." And she said, "The first one's name is Jasmine." And I said, "Well, stop right there. I work for Disney. That's a Disney name." And so when I talked to him about this one a while back and placed the order, she said, "What would you like to name it?" And we talked about it, and of course, we came up with
Oh,
another Disney redhead, and that's Merida.
now you've trained with Merida or no?
No, I haven't met her yet. The first year is pretty intensive. She's learning. She's learning not just about the commands, but she's learning a new way of life. She's being trained from the get go. This is how your life is going to be. So she doesn't think anything bad about it. It's just the way life is for her.
Sure. So, moving toward the end of the interview, we're doing this interview not just to educate people about service dogs, which, we hope we've done throughout the interview, but also because, as we all know, as Americans, inflation is sky high, and these dogs are extremely expensive. As David said earlier on in the interview, 20 to $30,000, sometimes even more than that. And again, they go through extensive training to help people with whatever that dog is to help that person with. It could be a disability, it could be PTSD, the list goes on and on. So, again, David is working hard. He's trying his best to get this service dog that will help him, but we're hoping people that are listening, if they could help out. Can you tell the people how to help you out, or how that you're getting out the word to people about this?
Yeah, a lot of people are getting out the word. As a matter of fact, Prince Harry was here at Disney World with the Invictus Games, and I got to volunteer there as a veteran. And he came up and talked to me for a while, and he said that he's a big advocate for veterans with invisible disabilities. And I've kind of continued that ever since he said that. That's really what we want to know, what people to know, that when you see a dog with somebody, just because they walk without a limp or they don't seem like they need them, there's invisible disabilities. And I've tried to get that word out. And I've put this GoFundMe together, and I'm just asking people to share it.
And how do people get in contact with you or the GoFundMe? Whether it's on social media, whether it's email, whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, we can. There's a few ways. The Veterans Club of Celebration is helping me out with a lot of this. We've already raised almost $15,000 together.
Wow.
So it's amazing. So halfway to the $30,000 point. So people can go to the GoFundMe or email me at Dave Dave Romero Romero 777 at gmail.com. And I'd be happy to send the link to the GoFundMe page, or I can send it to you as well.
Sure. Yeah, and I did email you through that page, and like I said, I found out through. I actually still have the paper from the Celebration magazine. So we'll try to get that information out for sure. We will in the description of the podcast, and we'll definitely say that throughout the radio stations too. So again, we hope people learned a lot throughout this interview about service dogs, and if people can throw a couple of bucks to David, reach out to him. Veterans of Celebration, and we're talking about Celebration, Florida. For people that don't know the area in general, but we do hope people reach out. You can reach out to me personally or to David. Again, uh, Dave Romero, I'm sorry, 777 at gmail.com. David, thanks so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. And I hope we keep in touch And when I get back down to Florida, maybe we can meet in person, and hopefully you'll be close to the gold by the time that happens.
Absolutely. I appreciate you talking with me and letting me educate the public about this.
All right. Thank you so much.